Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rishad Explains Politics. Today, we are going to discuss two important ideas: what is colonialism and what is digital colonialism. This video is not made to attack any country, culture, company, or civilization. The purpose of this discussion is educational. We will try to understand how colonialism worked in history, why many societies still discuss its effect today, and how technology may be creating new forms of global influence in the digital age. This is not propaganda, as I don't believe in propaganda. This is an academic and neutral analysis in simple English for common citizens, but anybody can get benefit from it. Because if we understand history carefully, we can better understand the modern world around us. In part 1, we shall discuss basic concept of what is colonialism. Colonialism is a system in which one powerful country controls another land, people, or regional for political, economic, or strategic benefits. In simple words, you can say stronger power enters another territory and begins controlling its resources, economy, government, or society. Throughout history, many empires practiced colonialism. Examples include the British Empire, the French Empire, the Spanish Empire, the Portuguese Empire, the Dutch empires, and many others across different centuries. Colonialism existed in different forms for hundreds of years. In part 2, we shall discuss why did colonial powers expand. There were several major reasons. Number one, economic interest. One major reason was wealth. Colonial powers wanted more gold, silver, spices, oil, cotton, tea, rubber, minerals, and cheap labor. Colonies often became suppliers of raw material. The colonizing powers would take resources from colonies, manufacture products in their own industries, and then sell those products back to the colonies. This created economic dependence. The second was strategic and military power. Empires also wanted strategic locations. Ports, sea routes, and trade routes were extremely important. Control over territory often meant more military power, more global influence, and strong international status. The third reason was political competition. Empires competed with each other. If one empire expanded, others feared becoming weaker, so colonial expansion became part of global rivalry. And the fourth reason was cultural and ideological belief. Some colonial powers believed they were civilizing other societies. In history, this was often called the civilizing mission, but many historians today argue that this idea was frequently used to justify political and economic control. In part 2, were discuss what were the effects of colonialism. The effects were complex and different in different regions. Some historians point out that colonial systems introduced railways, administrative systems, ports, schools, modern communication systems, and legal structures. However, many historians also argue that colonialism caused economic exploitation, loss of local industries, political dependency, cultural suppression, forced labor, artificial borders, and long term instability in some regions. In many colonies, local economies were redesigned to serve imperial interests rather than local development. For example, a colony might be forced to grow only one crop for export instead of building a diversified economy. In part 4th, we are going to discuss the psychological impact on the colonies. Colonialism was not only about land and resources, it also affected identity and psychology. In many places, local language became weaker, foreign education system dominated, local cultures were considered backward, and people sometimes began seeing foreign system as naturally superior. Many post colonial scholars discuss how colonial influence continued even after independence. because political independence does not always mean complete economic or cultural independence. Now, part fifth, we shall discuss what is new colonialism. After the Second World War, many colonies became independent nations, but some scholars argue that new forms of control still continued. This idea is called new colonialism. New colonialism means indirect influence instead of direct occupation. A powerful country may not rule another country officially, but it may influence its economy, its politics, its media, its loan, or its foreign policy. For example, economic pressure, international debate, corporate influence, or unique or unequal trade partnership. Different scholars debate how accurate this idea is, but it remains an important academic discussion. Now, in part 6, that is very important and relevant to our current situation. Now, we enter the digital age. Let us move to the modern world. Today, power is no longer based only on armies and territory. Power also comes from data, algorithm, artificial intelligence, social media, cloud systems, digital infrastructure, and information control. This is where the idea of digital colonialism begins. Now, in this seventh part, we shall discuss what is digital colonialism. Digital colonialism is a term used by some scholars to describe how powerful technology companies are technologically advanced countries may dominate digital spaces across the world. In simple words, instead of controlling land, influence may happen through technology, platforms, and data. Today, billions of people use social media platforms, search engines, smartphones, cloud services, online marketplaces, and AI systems created mostly by small number of global corporations. Many of these companies are extremely powerful because they control information flow, advertising system, behavior data, communication networks, and digital infrastructure. In part 8, we have discussed why do some scholars call it a digital colonialism. The comparison comes from several concerns. Number one is data extraction. In traditional colonialism, resources like gold or cotton were extracted. In digital colonialism, some scholars argue that data has become the new resource. Every click, search, location, and online activity creates data. This data can be extremely valuable for advertising, AI development, political influence, consumer prediction, and economic power. Some critics argue that users provide enormous amount of data while receiving limited control over how that data is used. Number two, technological dependency. Many countries depend heavily on foreign technology systems. For example, operating systems, cloud storage, search engines, social media, AI tools, payment systems, and digital communication infrastructure. This creates dependency. If a country cannot build or control its own digital infrastructure, it may become vulnerable economically and politically. Number third, algorithm influence. Algorithms influence what people watch, what news they see, what opinions become popular, and even how societies debate politics. Some scholars worry that a small number of platforms now shape global public opinion. This creates concern about information control, bias, polarization, and manipulation. Number fourth is cultural influence. Digital platform also influence culture. Movies, music, fashion, language, and trend shape globally through algorithm. Some people see this as positive globalization, others worry that local cultures may become weaker over time. Again, this is an academic debate with multiple perspectives. In part 9, is technology bad? Not necessarily, technology has also created enormous benefits. The internet has helped education, healthcare, scientific cooperation, business, communication, and innovation. Digital systems allow people to learn, connect, and create opportunities globally. The issue is not technology itself, the real debate is about ownership, regulations, fairness, transparency, privacy, and power concentration. Now, in part 10th of our debate, we shall discuss different views on digital colonialism. Not everyone agrees with the term digital colonialism. Some experts argue that global technology companies create innovations, connect the world, and provide useful services at massive scale. Others argue that too much power is concentrated in a few corporations, local economies struggle to compete, and digital dependence creates long term inequality. So, this debate is still ongoing in universities, governments, and technology policy circles around the world. Part 11th, Artificial Intelligence and the Future. No, artificial intelligence is becoming another major issue. AI system requires massive data, massive computing power, and advanced infrastructure. Only a few countries and corporations country dominate this field. This raises new questions. Who controls future AI systems? Which language and cultures are represented? Who benefits economically? And who become dependent? These are major global questions for the future. So, what we have learned today, colonialism was historically about political and economic control over territories and people. Digital colonialism is a modern economic idea suggesting that influence today may happen through technology, data, algorithm, and digital infrastructure instead of direct territorial occupation. Some people strongly agree with this concept, others disagree with parts of it. But almost everyone agreed that technology has become deeply connected with power in the modern world. Understanding these ideas help us to think critically about history, technology, globalization, and the future of a human society. The goal is not fear, the goal is awareness and understanding because informed citizens make stronger societies. Thank you for watching at Irshad Explains Politics.